People remember 2008 as the year of the Gators, the year we got one of the most iconic speeches in college football history and Florida's second title in 3 years. But the 2008 season was actually complete chaos. We watched a team stacked with talent get
We did lose to Ole Miss. But that was the only team we lost to. After that loss to Ole Miss, we were spanking. Or we were putting back to ass. Yo, what it do? Is your boy KaviusTv, man. We back with another video. We back with another reaction. Today's video's title is 2008 was crazier than you remember. Now, if you don't remember 2008 college football season, you know, my Florida Gators, we won the championship, you know. We won the championship. As you can see, we got Tim Tebow. So we're finna get into it. Well, how the 2008 season was. So let's get into this video, man. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Comment what video you want to see next. Comment what you want to see next. Comment or like. Do you remember how your team went this season? 2008. Because I know how my team went. Yeah, man. We're forever going to be repping Florida Gators, man. Like I said, we bleed orange and blue over here. So let's get into this video, man.
Most people remember 2008 as the year of the Gators, the year we got one of the most iconic speeches in college football history and Florida's second title in 3 years. But the 2008 season was actually complete chaos. We watched a team stacked with talent get
We did lose to Ole Miss. But that was the only team we lost to. After that loss to Ole Miss, we were spanking. Or we were putting back to ass.
Overnight, we witnessed one of the most explosive offenses in the sport's history and saw another one that looked just as unstoppable until one night in Lubbock changed everything. Together with a team that finished second, yet never even got a chance to play for the title, the beginnings of a soon-to-be empire and last-second upsets, the 2008 season was truly crazier than we remember.
What about Major Wright say? He said, I ain't even wanting the ball. I want to strike Phil in his heart.
Down the sideline for Johnson, and he is leveled by Major Wright.
But me and my cousin, we were so trained watching this, boy. After that hit right there, we were so trained watching. I remember this to this day. I was in my auntie living room watching this game with my cousins, bro. It was crazy, bro. We were so turned, boy.
But before all the chaos, all eyes were on one team as the season kicked off. And it wasn't the Gators, but the team that stomped them 1 year prior. Because the Bulldogs had one of the most exciting backfields in the sport. And they just added a 5-star everyone couldn't wait to see. But we'll get back to them. Because another team out west was geared up to take back the sport. The Trojans were stacked with 5-stars, especially on defense, where names like Ray Maluga, Brian Cushing, Clay Matthews, and Taylor Mays were ready to smother their opponents. But USC had talent for years, yet continued to fall short. So it wasn't a question of talent, but if this would be the group to finally take them back to the promised land. And lucky for us, we got our answer immediately, because in week 2, USC welcomed Ohio State, a team that had taken their spot as the premier football program in the sport, having gone to back-to-back title games. And coming into 2008, they had arguably just as much talent. It was one of the most highly anticipated games in recent years, but that hype lasted for about 30 minutes because by halftime, the game was over and USC looked like they were back to their 2004 ways. It was such a beatdown, it had us all thinking, how is anyone getting through this USC team, especially looking ahead at their cupcake Pac-10 schedule? If they did that to the Buckeyes, what chance did anyone else stand, especially a 1-2 Oregon State team that was up next? But those Beavers had a secret weapon weapon. One kind of built like a beaver himself, because Jacquizz Rodgers was sensational that night, dodging Trojans who were playing whack-a-mole on Heisman mode. And even when they slowed him up, his brother was causing problems on the perimeter.
Oh my God, he was calling them.
Had gnawed right through the impenetrable Trojan dam, crashing out yet another USC season for the third straight year.
This will energize the championship chase, and there will be a humongous party in Corvallis tonight.
So as the USC domino fell, our eyes shifted back to Georgia because Noshawn was starting to roll, and that 5-star freshman finally busted loose. But honestly, Florida was looking even scarier. They not only had their Heisman leader back, but now he had a ferocious defense to match. One that had Hawaii looking confused as to which team they had to give the ball to. And one that had the Canes wishing they stayed in Coral Gables. So when they rolled right through Tennessee, it was hard not to think that the Gators were destined to claim the top spot. But Ole Miss had something to say about that, because they came into the swamp as a team with nothing to lose, disrupting the...
They did what they did. They did what they did. Give them that. They did what they did. They beat us. They spanked us. But that was, like I say, that was the only team that beat us that year.
Their offense, well, they tore right through that vaunted defense.
Even
when Florida punched back, the Rebels special teams stepped up before the defense did the unthinkable, stuffing Tebow for the win. The Swamp couldn't believe it. Their dream season seemed over before it even started, which meant their golden opportunity was now back in the hands of the Bulldogs. But there was just one problem. Nick Saban now had a full year under his belt, and the collection of talent he now had was simply overwhelming for the Bulldogs. The Crimson Tide rolled right into Athens and let the nation know that this sport was now theirs for the taking.
This pass intended for Jones is a touchdown.
But for as loud as that statement was, it honestly may not have been as impressive as what was going on out west. Because if you were watching Oklahoma in September, it was impossible not to think, how in the world is anyone stopping this team? Bradford was averaging nearly 5 touchdowns a game, and behind him stood none other than DeMarco Murray. Out of all the great teams Stoops had, this one had to be the one that finally get him back to the top. But for as unstoppable as they looked, something scarier was gaining in their rearview mirror. A team that could possibly go toe-to-toe with them, and one that may have had the better defensive unit. But there was no need to debate, because on October 11th, we got to watch it play out on the field. The world expected a good one, yet somehow what we got blew the expectations out of the water.
Zone ahead, folks. Touchdown Longhorns.
Sam Bradford was putting on an absolute clinic, but when he made a play, Colt was right there with a response, giving us a back and forth thriller that went down to the wire. But ultimately, the difference wasn't on offense. It was the Longhorn defense derailing the unstoppable Sooners when it mattered most. But for as big as that win was, did it put Texas above the rest? Because Alabama had just taken out the preseason favorite with ease. So we were asking, could the Big 12 fireworks show hold up against an SEC defense? But as that debate raged over who the top team was, a player up north was sprinting into the equation, one with an explosive offense as well, and a ferocious defense to match. So in October, the question became, who was the best of the three? Because Penn State was building quite the impressive resume, one that included a massive last-minute win in Columbus. But could they hang with someone like Texas? Bama was probably the better choice. Yet, they started to look vulnerable, barely getting by Kentucky before almost ending up like the Gators against Ole Miss. Meanwhile, Texas hit another level, because after dropping 45 on the top-ranked Sooners, they dropped 56 on Chase Daniel's Tigers, then added another top 10 win over Oklahoma State. So by November, Texas was clear-cut the top dog in the country. But November has a way of rearranging the whole sport.
Touchdown! Eric Morris, his 5th touchdown of the season.
Because waiting for Texas was a team that was red hot, led by a quarterback putting up video game numbers, and a sophomore sensation looking like 03 Larry Fitzgerald. So it was safe to say the Longhorns had their hands full going into Lubbock, and immediately they got a taste of that overwhelming air raid attack. But Colt was a Heisman favorite for a reason. He methodically broke down the Red Raider defense, storming his Longhorns right back into the game before snagging the lead late in the 4th. But 90 seconds was a ton of time for the this offense. Graham locked in and was methodical himself, marching the Red Raiders within striking distance. But just then, it all seemed to end in the blink of an eye.
Deflected, intercepted, Texas!
Somehow, the Red Raiders avoided catastrophe, and on the very next play, they turned their good fortune into college football history.
Crabtree pulls free, and touchdown! Red Raiders with a second to go!
What we just witnessed was hard to fathom. The Longhorns' dream season evaporated into thin air, but they weren't the only ones to feel that pain, because 7 days later, it happened again. Penn State needed to get through just 3 games, but on November 8th, one kick unraveled their season of perfection.
It is good!
So now Texas Tech was in the driver's seat, and unlike Penn State, they weren't getting caught, because what they did to Oklahoma State right after Texas was a crime. Just look at the insane stat line Graham and Crabtree put up. No one could stop them. Crabtree was on the cusp of history. The Red Raiders felt like the top team in the...
I ain't gonna lie, Michael Crabtree was unstoppable, bro. He was so unstoppable. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But little did they know, a tsunami approached just ahead. Because the very next week, those Sooners reminded everyone who they were. Sam was lights out while his backs were running on freshman mode. But most impressive was that Sooner defense, a unit that harassed Graham all night long and utterly erased Crabtree from the equation. It was one of the loudest statements of the year, but there was just one problem. Texas was still ahead of them in the BCS with just 1 game to go, and the BCS standings decided the Big 12 tiebreaker. So as long as Texas took care of business, they were in. And that is exactly what they did, annihilating A&M in a statement of their own. Texas had done it. They could taste a return to the promised land. But 2 days later, the Sooners dropped 61 on Oklahoma State, which meant the BCS would have to decide. Would it be a red-hot Sooner team or the Longhorns who beat them? It was a lot like a situation that happened almost 10 years prior. In outcome, the BCS would ultimately repeat as the Sooners leaped over the Longhorns.
God, just imagine us playing against Texas in the BCF championship. We'd have spanked that ass too. I ain't gonna lie to you. We would have spanked that ass too.
In the second spot, Holt could only look on in disbelief. He had done everything he could, but it'd be Oklahoma who rolled into Arrowhead. And it didn't take long for them to make that decision look like it was the right one, because for the 5th straight game, their offense looked like the greatest of all time.
Record breaker, first team in history.
But for as impressive as the Sooner offense was, how would it stack up against an SEC defense? Because Alabama's unit was smothering opponents. Outside of one last LSU test, Saban's Crimson Tide blanketed their November schedule, outscoring opponents a combined 103-7. So if anyone had the answer for the Sooner train, it'd be Saban, just like he did in 2003. However, there was one last variable to the equation, a team whose one loss didn't ruin them, but supercharged them and united them behind a single promise.
But I promise you one thing, a lot of good will come out of this. You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season, and you never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season. And you never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season. God bless.
Because after Ole Miss, Florida hit another gear. They flattened a top 3 LSU team by 30, gave Georgia nearly 50 for last year's Gator Stomp, and by the end of the year, looked like a team possessed. So when the 2 Giants met down in Atlanta, it felt like the Gators were destined to walk out winners. But they were without their best weapon, and Alabama was a different animal entirely. They had a relentless run game, not to mention Julio Jones, who was quickly emerging as the star he'd become. The combo was enough to give them the lead going into the 4th, but the Gators made a promise to give it their all. And with the game on the line, Tebow delivered as he built out a 4th quarter lead before his defense silenced any chance of a comeback.
He's down the near sideline. He goes to his right. That should put the cork in the bottle.
So with the Gators win, attention shifted to one question. How could they slow down the Sooners? Their quarterback was now the Heisman winner. He was protected by a future NFL Hall of Famer. Even with one running back out, they still had another 1,000-yard rusher. And on the perimeter, they had league-leading weapons. For a month, the Gators had to hear the question over and over, but it only took them a few plays to provide their answer.
Body within 10 yards, lofting down the sideline for Johnson, and he is Major White.
Because Major Wright set the tone immediately, and what followed was the opposite of what we expected. The first half was defined by two units fed up with all the talk. Tebow looked mortal, while Bradford and co. could just not find the end zone. By the fourth, it was still anyone's game. It felt like chaos could break out at any moment. I mean, it was a season full of it, with incredible thrillers, shocking moments, and devastating heartbreak. But with just 12 minutes to go, Florida delivered the cleanest message yet, as the Gators proceeded to shut down the unstoppable Sooner train, while Tebow made the plays to seal the deal, turning a promise made into a promise kept.
A Heisman Trophy award in 3 years. He is unquestionably in that top 10, perhaps now in the top 5.
But while Florida raised the trophy, questions remained, because what would Texas have done if they got their shot, or USC with all
Spank their ass too, man.
their NFL talent? And how about that Utah team, the one that took out Alabama and finished second overall, yet was never even considered? All we can do is debate what could have been for those teams left on the outside looking in, like in this next video, where we take
We'll spank their ass too, man. Yo, if you enjoyed this video and remember your team, how they was in 08, man, y'all let me know down in the comment section, man. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, man. I'll see y'all next video, man.